I think they were a great side, and they changed the game for a lot of people, and it lasted for such a long time, and they caused people to argue about the game again. The Australians had been great before them, but it only lasted for a few years. I mean, the West Indies changed the way cricket was played. They brought in these 4 fast bowlers, and they caused a lot of animosity as well. I mean, one of the things I sort of discovered when I was researching this book was the extent to which the laws of the game were tried to be changed, that journalists, particularly in England, tried to lobby for the game to change because they were so worried about what they thought the West Indies were somehow besmirching the game of cricket, you know.
Can we name names?
Well, you know, Christopher Martin Jenkins, who was a wonderful journalist. When he was editor of The Cricketer, he campaigned for a white line to be drawn across the pitch. Now, if the ball bounced on the bowler's side of that line, it was to be a no ball. So he tried to outlaw short-pitched bowling. You know, that was one of many instances.
Because with Brian Close's recent death, obviously I was at Yorkshire Television for years and knew Brian Close, that image of him being wanged at, for want of a better phrase.
I mean, Brian was as bold as he was crazy. He was an incredibly brave cricketer. But that night in Old Trafford, 1976, the third test on the Saturday, you know, Brian Close was 45. As Clive Lloyd said to me, he should have been watching the game from the bar with a gin and tonic in his hand. Shouldn't have been playing against Michael Holding and Andy Roberts on a dodgy pitch.
And Clive Lloyd, whether it was with Lancashire or captain the West Indies, he always came over to me as a class act, as a player and a person.
Yeah.
What did he want for West Indies cricket? What did he change? What did he want to achieve?
He wanted excellence. He wasn't interested in payback for colonial times. He wasn't interested in black power. He wanted sporting excellence through intelligence and strategy and athleticism, and that's exactly what he delivered. I think his role in the development of this side is often overlooked. People see him as an avuncular, calm character who just stood at first slip, looked at his watch and changed the bowling. He was much more than that. He was the heart of this side, and if it hadn't been for Clive's steel, his understanding of people, his understanding of the West Indies, both socially and politically and culturally, that team, there's no way they would have gone on to achieve what they did do. Hugely important. I mean, if you look at the development of modern West Indian cricket, I think you have 4 characters. You have Frank Worrell, who of course was the first black captain in 1960. You have Garfield, who was probably the best cricketer who has ever played the game. Sobers led by example. And you felt that he could win test matches on his own. And what Sobers did was bring a pride to the West Indies and a feeling that they could achieve brilliance throughout the world that they'd never really had before. And let's not forget, I mean, this side in 76 of Clive's didn't fall from a passing comet. The West Indies had been world champions in the early 60s, and that was largely down to the contribution of Gary Sobers.
What was your first experience of seeing the West Indies live? Tell me about it.
Well, it's never left me. It was the Oval, it was 1976, it was that Monday. Wisden is great for being able to catalogue your life. I was 7 years old and my dad took me to the Oval, and I saw Dennis Amiss get that battling 200. I saw Fredericks and Greenwich make an extraordinary second innings declaration late in the evening, and it just blew me away. And at the front of it all, the tallest man that I could see with his big glasses and his big hat was Clive Lloyd. And those images of these strange men, the like of which I'd never seen before, has stayed with me forever.
And the crowd, of course, a West Indies cricket crowd. Noisy, colourful, different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was researching this book, one of the things Clive Lloyd said to me, you know, he would lean on his bat at the Oval and he would take in that exuberance, that din, and he would say to himself, why, hearing this now, we have to do our best. We owe so much to these people, and they did, and they delivered.
What effect did the success, the sustained success, I mean remarkable 7, 8, 10 years success of that team have back in the Caribbean?
Well, it brought pride to the region. I think that was the great thing. Really, for the first time in a lot of people's lives, there was something central that united them. Nothing unites the West Indies. They're a disparate group of islands and territories, Jamaica is 1,200 miles from Guyana. You know, Guyana is in South America. Cricket was the only thing that brought them together, and it brought them pride at home, and I think crucially in the diaspora, it brought them pride in foreign lands where they were trying to make their way.
You're probably going to win this argument, because you're right, in a way. Greatest team that ever played sport, you say, is the West Indies cricket team. I would say it's Brazil football team of 1970. Why do you win that argument? Case for the difference?
I think because of the length of time they were great for. Brazil, of course, an astonishing football team, great individual skill, great cohesion, but the West Indies cricket team, against all the odds, against everything that was thrown against them, were great for more than a decade, and I think that takes superhuman planning, strategy, athleticism, and I don't think it'll ever be repeated.
What went wrong? What happened? I don't remember the bit where they ceased being a great team. Where did it go wrong?
They were always great despite what was happening at home. So there were always rows with the board. There was never any sort of superstructure that underpinned West Indies cricket. There were always rows about money. There was a lamentable lack of forward planning by the people who ran cricket in the West Indies. And I think life changed as well. There's no reason, sport is cyclical, as we know. There's no reason why the West Indies should be great forever. But the West Indies as a region has changed so much in the last 30 years that for young men to put on a maroon blazer and represent the region's cricket team is not enough anymore. The primary question that young men and women are asking themselves is, how do I look after myself in the future? How do I make as much money as I can? And I think all of that world view actually goes against trying to get a great West Indies test team nowadays. I think the cohesion went, and I think the great thing that Lloyd had and that Viv Richards had afterwards when he was captain was this indomitable team spirit, that they were playing cricket for a reason, an overriding reason, and because of the things we've just talked about, I think now that reason no longer exists, and we can see late 80s, early 90s, it began to fray. Kerry Packer made the West Indies, no doubt about that. I think that Australia was scorched by the Packer experience, and the West Indies were tempered by it. When they came out of the fire at the other end, the West Indies believed they could beat anyone in the world because they'd been playing against them every day. They'd been batting against Lillian Thompson and Imran and all those other great bowlers, and they no longer had a fear. The West Indies had a great psychological fear of Australia that went back to the 1950s. After Packer, that was gone forever.
Will you or I live to see the likes of them again?
I'd love to. I'd really love to.
You're young enough, sir.
I can't see it happening. And the reason I can't see it happening is because I think so much has changed in the West Indies. But I will say this, it makes me cross that a lot of people, particularly in the British press, say, wouldn't it be great to see the West Indies great again? Well, the British press campaigned against the West Indies being great when they were great. As we've talked about already, they tried to change the laws of the game. They said they had somehow besmirched cricket by introducing 4 fast bowlers. So there's a lot of double talk about the West Indies being great again. But yeah, I'd love to see it.
Have you had that argument yourself with any of those journalists? Have you?
No, I haven't. I mean, my case for the defence is fairly well laid out in Fire in Babylon. No one's disagreed with it, I have to say. But no, I think there was in England particularly, there was a concerted effort to try and bring the West Indies down. And you see, the players didn't mind playing against them, I know that. All they were guilty of was excellence, is what Graham Fowler said to me. The fans didn't mind watching them. They sold out the games time and time again. It was the press who didn't like the West Indies very much.